wanted me to do a 15-minute speech. But, you know, all I would say, John, you got to, actually, John and Michelle, come on up. A lot of it said tonight. I'm going to get to the point. A lot of you know, people were, and rightly so, been introduced and, you know, talked about. I think there was, I would say, from the Adams side, two people that should be mentioned. John was, I would say, a handful in trying to teach him, and as he was growing up. And he talked about his mother, talked about his two grandmothers. There was, I would say, his two grandfathers, who unfortunately are not here tonight. But they're looking down and from heaven, and they're saying, "John, great job, great job, well done." So I know they're looking down and saying they're very, very proud of what you've accomplished, and this weekend. And I would say this weekend as well. I don't think people realize, but Frankie and Jesse's son is going to turn 1 tomorrow. So, and John's Joy. John's the godfather of Joy. So Joy will never forget John and Michelle's. You're not the godfather? Oh, Christina.
The other one. They wanted me to be the godfather, I declined. That's why he's a little confused.
But Joy will never forget your wedding. So I don't know if you've ever heard the story, and I'm not going to get into it, but the story of really how these two met in Chicago, it was mentioned. But all I would say, some people may call it fate. I don't think it was. I think it was God's plan of getting you two together, which is really, it was a remarkable story. You know, John came down to Chicago to visit his cousin around New Year's Eve. They went to this bar, and all of a sudden John's talking to this young lady. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Wisconsin. So am I. We're in Wisconsin, Milwaukee. So am I. We're in Milwaukee, Brookfield. So am I. What's your name? Martin. By chance, you have a brother named Greg Martin? That's how they met. And, you know, I would say, I would think you guys would attest to this, that we had no idea that they were actually dating. You know, John was coming, he was living in LA at the time. John was coming to Chicago. We were going out to LA, like every other week or once a month, something like that. So finally, you'll meet one of John's cousins, Shannon, who we visited, told Carol what was going on.
I guessed it first. I guessed it.
No idea this is going on.
I think he didn't want to hear that. Shut up, Mom.
Exactly, and he didn't.
So,
Greg knew a little bit. He told her, quit visiting that chump out in LA. That's what I didn't eventually tell him.
So, but like I said, I think, you know, it's a great, great story, and I think it really is God's plan that you guys get together, and now you're finally obviously getting married. I would say the only other thing I would talk about is, you know, Michelle, you got less than 18 hours. Think about it. Less than 18 hours to make this decision, right? We all know John, and I would say John has his habit. If you say the line is here, he will get to that line, and then we'll push that line. And, right? True. And, you know, his mother and father obviously were very challenged at times. And obviously his grandparents were very challenged at times, but John obviously came out to be a very good dad, right? Right. So all I would say is Michelle, the Adamses and the Martins are ready here to help you out. When it gets to that line, right? So, I know there's one other speaker that wants to say a few words tonight. Is your cousin Brian.
I got to the church today, I saw John's brother Michael. He said he's going to speak tonight. And I said, so am I. He said, well, what story are you telling? And I said, party, of course. So am I. So there might be a little repetition. Anyway, so a couple days ago, my Uncle Todd comes up to me with a mischievous grin on his face. He says, so Brian, you know any good stories about John? Winks at me. Of course I do, I said. He said, well, the theme is, so Michelle, do you still want to marry John? This is clearly one of my Uncle Todd's best ideas. Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Todd. So Michelle, you know John as the dashing young Marine Corps officer and the young law school student, but many of us here knew John before then. When John, the Marine Corps officer, was Johnny. Also known as Johnny Mischief. And this is really an appropriate nickname for Johnny, and it's actually a perfect title for my childhood: Adventures and Mischief with Johnny.
It's coming out with another book?
The right one. Greg over there knows what I'm talking about. Greg and John used to get into some hijinks at old St. John Vianney Parish. You know, that stink bomb, Greg. So, Johnny Mischief. Adventures and Mischief with Johnny. The theme of my childhood. And Johnny tries to give me credit as being the leader of our little twosome.
Branch out.
But it was Johnny. And one thing that Johnny introduced me to when we were young was becoming a ninja.
Greg introduced me.
They learned from Greg. John was taking karate. He was the cool kid who was the ninja. And so he used to tell me, let's put on some black clothes, let's sneak out at night and go on an adventure.
I was 20 at the time.
So John and I used to sneak out of my parents' home at night in all black clothes.
I got this on tape, Chris.
We'd run around the neighborhood, and anytime a car would come, we'd dive into the bushes. And then after about 20 minutes, one of us would look at each other and say, where the hell are we going? Is that what you said? We had no destination in mind. It was just the adventure. Well, in high school, John, always the ninja, had another great idea. Let's put on those black clothes again, but this time, my parents are out of town. John staying at my house, we snuck across Brookfield to the Addams family residence, and through, as Mike so beautifully described, a kegger. We had people dancing on tables, we had... It got wild, and then there was also the other more glorious parts of high school, like cleaning up all the pews. And whenever headlights came on the street, everyone in the house had to duck. So it was quite a party. I think anyone that was present could attest to that. But actually, one of the most memorable moments of that night was when everyone left. We had a few hours until Uncle Todd and Aunt Carol came back home. John, the leader, organized the cleanup. A lot more puke being cleaned up. A lot of... I'm so sorry about your... I'm so sorry. So it was another adventure to clean up a huge house within a few hours, and we thought we had pulled it off. We cleaned up everything. They had a hot tub at the time. People at the party, there was water all over the place. I'm sorry, Uncle Todd. And we even had had the great idea to jump in the hot tub the next morning when Uncle Todd and Aunt Carol were coming back, so it looked like it was just from us. It was sloppy. We had pulled it off. I gave John a wink, Johnny Mischief a wink, and I was on my way home. But then, not long after,
5 minutes.
the Adams neighbors popped over. And they said to Aunt Karen and Uncle Todd, hell of a party you guys threw last night. Sorry again. So, the next day, I got my first experience in landscaping. Labor for Uncle Todd and Aunt Karen. But the thing that I would like to say about this whole experience is that John has shown me throughout my life that it's not about a party, it's not about the main event, it's about the ride, it's about the adventure. And that is what I would like to say to you guys. John has led me on an adventure through my life as my best friend growing up. And John, I'm sure, will lead you on an amazing adventure, and you will lead him on an amazing adventure as well. So I just want to say to everyone here, please, let's say one final congratulations to John and Michelle. And let's remember that life is about the adventure along the way, not always the final destination.
Awesome.
I want to add a little more context, Tyler, wait. I just want to add a little more context to this party. So we did go away.
Right.
We had the opportunity actually to go with my parents to Ireland. And Johnny and Jesse was in college at the time. And we thought they were mature enough, to take care of everyone. And Tyler was probably...
Don't ruin it for me. I got to talk about this tomorrow.
He's sweating bullets.
All I would say, Tyler was lost for a day. No one knew where he was. And I will tell you, Brian, how we found out about this party was your Auntie Carol. So I just remember coming home. We got home late that night. It was like 1 in the morning, Sunday morning. And we walked in the house, and the house was perfectly clean. I mean, when it's perfectly clean, something's not right. We were really tired, and we went to bed, and Sunday morning, I came home from church, and Carol said, we got a problem. Well, the phone's not working. So why? Well, the phone guy's got in the hot tub. Well, then Carol, in her intuition and interrogation of various people, discovered we had this party. Well, I heard some news stories tonight, but all I would say is Tuesday night, the police officer came, and he said, we had barricades on Blarney Way, and we had all these kids in the house. But you know what? I've never been to a party where your kids are so respectful. They would never let us in. Someday, your son probably should be an attorney. Don't tell me that. Not an attorney. Well, guess what? He's becoming an attorney. Does everyone hear one more story about John?
Johnny Mischief?
Huh?
About Johnny Mischief.
Johnny Mischief. I have actually 2 stories. You guys could pick one. One is called Johnny's First Date.
Oh.
Or my favorite, actually. What do I
gotta read it.
We're
taking them both back to the law school.
Johnny coming home from a party.
Oh, do that one.
Second one.
Johnny coming home
Let's
from a
just hear
party.
both.
No, just
So I'm going to put the context in real quick. So I think everyone realizes Carol really raised these kids.
no.
I was just there. And every Friday or Saturday night when the kids went out, they always had to kiss their mother goodnight. Okay? And so their mother always did the smell test. I was sleeping, as a good father does. And so Johnny come home one night, It was a Friday night. If you remember this, it was a Friday night. And Johnny walks in our room and says, "Oh, Mom, I'm so tired. I'm going to go to bed." John?
Get over here and give me a kiss.
Then it's again. Then I'm starting to wake up. And then finally, Carol in her voice that she could do, "John, get over here!" Johnny comes over there, reluctantly, gives his mother a kiss. And I'm really starting to wake up because the voice is getting louder and louder. John goes, and Carol goes, "Well, John, you've been drinking, haven't you?" "No, Mom. No, Mom." "John, tell me the truth. You've been drinking, haven't you?" "No, Mom. No, Mom." The third time, and I'm really starting to wake up. Carol says this to John, and John says, "Okay, Mom, I was kissing a girl." Get yourself into Michelle. And then I started to wake up. I said, "That's brilliant." She's gonna buy this. No, she didn't buy it. Punished for 2 weeks, right? Michelle, this is the type of gentleman. Well, obviously we're having a lot of fun tonight. Johnny knows how to push various people's buttons, especially his family. It's time to get back at him a little bit tonight, but we wanted to make sure you understood. You got less than 18 hours. You still want to do it?
It's done. It's done.
It's done?
We're looking forward to
Well,
it.
Michelle, I just want to wish you, obviously, you're very, very, welcome now in the Adams family. Okay? Martin, you guys are very, very welcome in the Adams family. And obviously we've been friends for a long, long time. So, and I'll just say one other thing. Johnny is following the tradition, I will say, of the Adams-Gardner side. Is where both grandfathers really married over their skis. Their father married over their skis.
No, you didn't.
Johnny is married over his skis. So think about that. So welcome. And Johnny, the only other advice I would give you, happy wife, happy life.